attention and testing, and they did. But what I hadn't expected was that equally important was the concern they raised about children's mental health. The state of the services they're in, the increasing incidence of mental health problems, self-harming, disruptive behaviour, and so on, and their feeling of inadequacy in able to support those children because they can't get those children through a good quality education system and get them ready for the world of work and the world of higher education. They can't do that if they aren't able to support those young people with better mental health support. What they said was that the capacity of CAMS is overstretched. There are long waiting lists. They had real concerns about inadequate early intervention. They said there are more children who are vulnerable. The reasons are many and varied. Mistreatment and abuse at home, more families living in chaotic circumstances, more families living in uncertain and insecure and poor quality housing. And that combined with austerity, particularly in terms of payment of benefits, tax credits and so on. Most of our families are working, most parents are working, but they have suffered as a result of the changes in the benefit and tax credit system, so that many families, increasing numbers of families, cannot find enough money to pay the rent and put food on the table, and this stress impacts on children. It couldn't not impact on children. The head of Kingsley Academy, who's only been at that school, I think, a year, she said in her tenure she's already seen 3 of her children sectioned. Children self-harming, and there's not enough support, and the social work team can't cope either. We have solutions. Most of our schools commission either the Hounslow Youth Counselling Service to deliver counselling, or they employ in-house counsellors. Strand on the Green runs a programme called Theraplay, which combines therapy and art for children. It's a really successful programme, but there's no funding left to allow it to continue indefinitely. And so their conclusion was, Madam Deputy Speaker, that not enough is being done in terms of support. We have an excellent youth counselling service that serves the Borough of Hounslow and has done for many years. And their counsellors believe very strongly that government cuts have led to the increased need for counselling. There's less money for entry-level, early entry criteria, such as Tier 1. And when those pull out, that means, as other members have said today, that young people are entering the service when they're in crisis, needing Tier 3 and Tier 4 services, which of course are very, very expensive. Madam Deputy Speaker, Hounslow Youth Counselling, like many counselling services, is a Tier 1 service. It is there to provide initial counselling and support. It is not a therapeutic service. It cannot be. It is not funded to be. It doesn't have those professional advisors. But often it's the only place that young people can come to, because the higher level services such as CAMS won't see that young person for many weeks and often many months. What they're saying is that in various services, skilled and experienced staff are being replaced by less skilled and experienced staff. That's made it difficult to maintain important standards in certain departments. They say that there's no sign of the increase in young people requiring counselling slowing, so further cuts could worsen the situation. Hounslow Youth Counselling is a voluntary service organisation. It is funded mainly from local government and the NHS, which themselves are cutting back on supporting the voluntary sector as their own funding is cut back. Yet the Youth Counselling Service say they're likely to see upward of 3,000 young people per year, and it's growing. Yet their ability to grow as an organisation to meet that pressure is highly unlikely. That means their own waiting lists will get longer. That means longer for young people who are referred by school or parents or by themselves. They'll have to wait even longer. So our experience in our borough reflects what others have described in this debate. Children and young people under ever greater pressures, from social media to family poverty to housing crisis to identity questions. Services are already stretched, with some services facing an uncertain future As school and voluntary sector cuts are made, many services are closing or have closed. A lack of early intervention, different services having different priorities. Reports of decommissioning of early intervention services as a result of reductions in social services and other spending. We could do things differently. It isn't just funding, although that is an incredible... we can't not discuss funding. But there are other issues as well, and my honourable friend from North Durham made an excellent suggestion based on the experiences of the Armed Forces Covenant that was set up under the Labour government. It was led at cabinet level. The conclusions and programme of the Armed Services Covenant was filtered through a range of services through to local government. I was a councillor in Hounslow, and we adopted the Armed Services Covenant. It meant it filtered through into several of our services and several of our priorities. Madam Deputy Speaker, could we not do the same for children's mental health? So in conclusion, as many honourable members have said, we need to do more as a country, and the government must lead on this. We must do better, we must listen to young people, we must deliver joined-up services, we must deliver them early, and by doing that, we save money, but more importantly, we save our young people's future. Thank you.
Martin Day.